6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dilini Gunawardena, assisted by Sanjay, and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. A mindfulness program organized by the Presidential Secretariat marks the beginning of the Vesak week. Landslide early warnings are issued for 9 districts, including Colombo. Sri Lanka becomes a founding member of the Global Blended Finance Alliance initiative. The prison officers are granted an allowance of 15,000 rupees with immediate effect. The National Dengue Control Unit predicts a possible rise in dengue cases with the monsoon season. Foreign news. First Vice President Mohammad Mokbar is declared as the acting president of Iran. And sports athletics, Sri Lanka bags 2 medals in 2 tournaments. A mindfulness program organized by the Presidential Secretariat, the Prime Minister's Office and the Ministry of Education as part of the National Vesak Festival, Buddha Rashmi, took place this morning at the Independence Square in Colombo. The event aimed to instill mindfulness in the current generation. The program was held under the guidance of Venerable Kirinde Assajitero and directions of Secretary to the President Mr. Samana Ekanayaka. The program was attended by approximately 500 participants, including school children, university students and representatives from the international schools and the technical colleges in Colombo district. During this special admonition, Venerable Dr. Kirinde Assajitero emphasized that the future of the country depends on the younger generation and highlighted the importance of knowledge, education, skills and abilities in shaping the nation's future. The National Disaster Management Centre has warned about landslides, large rockfalls and tree falls in 9 districts due to the heavy rains and strong winds that have affected many parts of the island. Accordingly, the people in the districts of Badulla, Colombo, Gampaha, Kaluthara, Galle, Kandy, Ratnapura, Kegalle, Kurunegala have been warned that they should be more alert and should evacuate immediately if any danger signs are observed. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology has issued an advisory for heavy rain for the western, Sabaragama and northwestern provinces and for the Galle, Matra, Kandy, Nuwara and Mannar districts. Very heavy showers above 150 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and northwestern provinces, while heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the Sabaragama province and in the Galle, Matra, Kandy, Nuwara and Mannar districts. The general public, fishing and naval communities are kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Sri Lanka today became a founding member of the Global Blended Alliance initiative, which was launched in Indonesia on the sidelines of the 10th World Water Forum. Minister Jeevan Thondaman was part of the group of officials who participated in the launch of the Global Blended Finance Alliance initiative in Bali. Taking to X, Minister Thondaman said, by signing today, Sri Lanka becomes a founding member alongside Indonesia, Fiji, France, the UAE, Kenya, Luxembourg and Canada. The world has a $2.5 trillion funding gap to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Through collective efforts, the Global Blended Finance Alliance aims to mobilize both public and private capital to help nations achieve carbon neutrality and sustainable development goals. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A discussion was held today under the chairmanship of Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa regarding increasing the allowances of prison officers. The minister agreed to conduct a complete review of the allowances of prison officers and to increase their allowances in concurrence with the allowances of the police officers. Until then, steps will be taken to submit a cabinet paper to provide an allowance of 15,000 rupees to the prison officials immediately. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa has instructed to carry out the related work in the coming week. Dr. Lahiru Kodituaku of the National Dengue Control Unit said out of the dengue cases reported during the year 2024, 30% of the cases have been reported from the Western Province. He said 1,458 dengue cases have been reported during the month of May, adding that the numbers expected to rise with the onset of the monsoon. The National Dengue Control Unit said Colombo, Gampaha, Kaluthara, Kandy and Jaffna districts have been identified as the most vulnerable districts, with special dengue prevention campaigns implemented in these areas from the 26th of May. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
The state Vesak festival will be held in Martale under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The festival will begin tomorrow under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardene, and President Wickremesinghe will attend on the 23rd of May. This year's Vesak festival will be on the theme, "Let's not look at what others have done, but at what we have done." The opening ceremony will be held at the Dharmaraj Pirivena premises in Martale. Meanwhile, a special program will be carried out to introduce the concept of mindfulness to the government servants in line with the Buddharashmi Vesak festival. Accordingly, Asidisi Sandaham Sara will be held at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Information Department. The sermon will be delivered by Venerable Pothuhara Mahinda Siritero. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardene along with other dignitaries will grace the occasion. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, a special announcement has been issued for motorists travelling on the expressway due to the prevailing adverse weather conditions. Accordingly, the Road Development Authority requests motorists to maintain a maximum speed of 60 km per hour when using the expressway. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines first. First Vice President Mohammad Mokbar is declared as acting President of Iran. The new President of Taiwan asks China not to threaten Taiwan. Delhi sizzles as temperature cross 45 degrees Celsius. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has confirmed First Vice President Mohammad Mokbar as the country's acting president after President Ibrahim Raisy's death in a helicopter crash that also killed Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian. Several officials were on board when the aircraft went down in northern Iran's East Azerbaijan province. They all are believed to be dead. 5 days of national mourning has been declared by the Supreme Leader. New elections will be held within 50 days. Meanwhile, the world and regional leaders are sending condolences following the death of Raisi and Amir-Abdollahian. Taiwan's newly inaugurated President William Lai has called on China to stop threatening the island and accept the existence of its democracy. He urged Beijing to replace confrontation with dialogue shortly after being sworn in today. He also said Taiwan would never back down in face of intimidation from China, which has long claimed the island as its own. Mr. Lai won a three-way presidential race in January, securing an unprecedented third term. He had served as Ms. Tsai's vice president since 2020 and before that as her premier. Northern India, including capital Delhi, is reeling under a fierce heat wave with temperatures soaring above 45 degrees Celsius over the weekend. Yesterday, a district in Delhi recorded a temperature of 47.8 degrees Celsius, the highest in the country this season. The Weather Department has said the heat spell is likely to continue this week. The Indian Meteorological Department has predicted the country is likely to experience longer and more intense heat waves this year. Back to the headlines of the world news. First Vice President Mohammad Mokbar is declared as acting President of Iran. The new President of Taiwan asks China not to threaten Taiwan. And Delhi sizzles as the temperature crossed 45 degrees Celsius. And that ends world news.
Development news.
The Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau Chairman Chalaka Gajabahu said Sri Lanka has received positive volumes of recognition globally after the crisis has improved. He made this remark in the 11th edition of the Sancharak Udava, which concluded on Saturday at the BMICH. He said that this is an amazing achievement and a huge turnaround in just 2 years. This positive vibe, along with all projects carried out, will help Sri Lanka in a great way to achieve their arrival target of 2.3 million plus tourists for the current year. The event provided networking opportunities for industry newcomers and veterans, along with an award ceremony recognizing the best stall creations. And that was Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Athletics news. Sri Lanka athlete Indika Gamage won the bronze medal of the men's 100 meters T44 event in 11.77 seconds at the 2024 World Para Athletics Championships held in Japan. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka bagged a silver medal of the 4x400 meter mixed relay event with 3 minutes and 17 seconds at the Maiden Asian Relay Championship in Bangkok, Thailand. The team consisted of Aruna Darshana, Sairi Mendis, Pasindu Kodikara and Nadisha Ramanayaka. India won the gold medal of the event while the bronze medal was bagged by Vietnam. And that was sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Professor Ajit Dialvis, chief guest at the recently concluded 29th edition of the AIA Higher Education Scholarship Program, rewarded over 750 outstanding students entering GCE A-level classes to reach out for excellence. Since the inception in 1994, the program has continued for 29 consecutive years, with awards made to the brightest students, irrespective of whether they are AIA customers. Professor Dialvis shared invaluable insights to inspire the next generation of leaders, emphasizing the unique era we live in, marked by the simultaneous occurrence of 4 industrial revolutions such as nanotechnology, biotechnology and neurotechnology. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, the recent event organized by the Ceylon Motor Traders Association, themed Mobility and Economic Growth, brought together key stakeholders through leaders to delve into crucial discussions shaping Sri Lanka's economic landscape. The event, highlighted by a keynote speech from the Minister and Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of Japan, Katsuki Kataro, and a dynamic panel discussion, provided invaluable insights and strategies for sustainable growth and enhanced mobility. That was economic news.
Weather report.
Due to the southwest monsoon conditions gradually establishing across the island, prevailing showery and windy conditions will continue further. Cloudy skies can be expected over most parts of the island. Showers or thunderstorms will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern, southern and northern provinces. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Galle, Matra, Kandy, Nuwara and Mannar districts. Several special showers will occur in the north central province. Fairly strong winds, about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times over the island. Well, that was the weather update, and before we conclude this news broadcast, the headlines once again. A mindfulness program organized by the Presidential Secretariat marks the beginning of the Vesak Week. Landslide early warnings are issued for 9 districts, including Colombo. Sri Lanka becomes a founding member of the Global Blended Finance Alliance initiative. Prison officers are granted an allowance of 15,000 rupees immediately. The National Dengue Control Unit predicts of possible rise in dengue cases with the monsoon season. Foreign news, first Vice President Mohammad Mokbar is declared as the acting president of Iran, and in sports, it's athletics. Sri Lanka bags 2 medals in 2 tournaments. Well, with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and handing over the microphone back to Mariela Wandot this Monday evening to continue with the rest of the programs. Over to you, Mariela.